After a week off, the Cup Series returns. And judging by this track's past history, it will be back with a bang.
Around goes Bubba.
Into Keslowski.
We crashed. Typical Talladega.
Here we go.
Talladega always promises the big one.
Up the racetrack in traffic.
And thus far, it has never disappointed. Around the Track starts now.
We're going racing deep down in Dega, which means we are supersizing this super speedway. Welcome to Around the Track. My name is Gabe McDonald, and we're about to get you ready for one of the biggest races of the year at Talladega Superspeedway. A past winner here, 2311's Bubba Wallace, is in Garage Confidential this week to tell us how he's won here in the past. Plus, we got one of the most hyped wheelmen rising up the ranks of NASCAR. Hendrick Motorsports' Cory shows us how he prepares for races this season. But first, we got to drop the green flag and get you ready for this weekend's race. As the great Charlie Day would say, wild card. This track is known for a combination of speed, skill, and luck. It's pretty well known that at a super speedway, anyone has the chance to win. That is, of course, if you can avoid the big one. A crash that will take out multiple cars. It happens every time that we race here in Alabama. With speeds reaching more than 200 miles per hour, we're going to get 3, maybe even 4 wide action that Dega delivers, but it requires some patience and some thought as well. Saving fuel will either win or lose your position late in this race. And for many in the lineup this weekend, this will be their best chance to make the playoffs.
My goal is always to not wreck there. It's so easy to get caught up in a wreck at Talladega. But yeah, I mean, I feel like we are typically in contention towards the end of the races, just sometimes doesn't work out. So, yeah, we finished well in the fall at Talladega last year, and hopefully, be a few spots better this time.
Yeah, Talladega is kind of a beast of its own. It's really about the draft. The track is pretty wide, so it's quite a bit different than Daytona. And handling isn't as big of a factor, at least through the corners. So what ends up happening is the pushes and shoves, the draft itself becomes more aggressive. So definitely a unique one. But yeah, Talladega, people show up there too, right? That's everyone knows it as the party track. But I will never see that. I just race there.
And here at Around the Track, we get the best insider info. And this time around, we're bringing back a familiar face to the program. You see him as part of Fox's coverage for NASCAR, college football, hoops as well. He was actually one of the very first hosts of this very show. Back in the building, other than Josh Sims. How's everything good, man?
Everything's good, man. It's always good to come back. Things have changed around, but the product, it's still great here, and that's what I love to see.
Absolutely. Good to have you back in the building as well. And talking about this race this weekend, Talladega, known for its high speeds, but also that high banking as well. That provides some thrilling racing, but also some wild wrecks that we've seen. Still, one of the races that everyone looks forward to every year, even the guys who build the cars make strides when they hear Super Speedway. What makes Dega so special, but also such a beast, too?
Well, Gabe, you touched on it. It's the high speed, the high banking. Talladega gives this, I'll say, illusion that anybody can win. The numbers bear out that we usually see certain guys that are pretty good at this style of racing that are going to find their way to the front at some point towards the end of this race. But it's just one of those races that's exciting. You got that side-by-side racing, the drafting, the excitement, the speed, all that puts for a great product out there. And just, it's Talladega, man. It's a party all weekend long.
No, absolutely. It's become truly a magnet for fans, too. I mean, they always circle this weekend on their calendars. The Super Speedway, like you said, it can produce some wild card winners, but one team trying to break through this season, and that is obviously Team Penske. They have some strong cars, but some strong finishes as of late, but really not anything to show for it. Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, top 10 in points. Of course, they're both champions, but neither one of them or Austin Cindric has a win this year. How is Penske Super Speedway set up, and is this the week for them to finally get into victory lane this year?
Yeah, the thing about it is the setup is fine. Everything is great for them outside of the result, right? And we know in past, Joe Logano's won at Talladega multiple times. Same with Ryan Blaney, and as well Cindric. He has won on Super Speedway. So we know all three of them know how to get it done. But it's the product of Talladega, man. When you're in it at the end, everybody starts to get a little antsy and starts to make some crazy moves and blocks, and that's what kind of prevents these guys from getting the win. But if you keep putting yourself in position, you will come through. So it's a matter of time before we see a Blaney win it, we see a Cindric win it or we see Joey get back in victory lane at Talladega.
And this is a matter of just staying out of people's messes and being able to be there at
Easier
the
said
end,
than done,
of course.
man.
And we're going into points race number 10. Crazy to think that just through 9 races, the first quarter, so to speak, only 5 different winners in the Cup Series, of course. Guys like Christopher Bell winning 3 in a row, Denny Hamlin going back-to-back. But when it comes to points, there's also those 1 or 2 drivers that really surprised us a little bit early in the season. Looking at this year in 2025, Ryan Preece, first year in the 60 car for RFK. A.J. Allmendinger back in the Cup Series full-time for Colleague Racing. If the playoffs started today, both of them would actually be in. So, Josh, does this surprise you? And is there anyone else you got your eye on as we get to the final races this year?
Yeah, listen, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't surprised. You know, Ryan Preece has been great for this RFK team, and he's a guy that Brad Kay looked at and said, I want to get him over here with this organization, and he has produced with it. We haven't seen the win, but he's a stage winner. He's been running up front. He's obviously in the playoff picture right now. It's good to see him get an opportunity because he is a talented driver. And as far as the Dinger, man, I mean, he's been around for years. He's been doing it at a high level. We know how difficult it is to win at the Cup level. He's won on a road course. Waiting to see if he can get it done on other different disciplines. But no surprise that the Dinger is doing this. It's just a matter of consistency throughout the rest of the season. Let's see how things go as we get into the summer months with both of them. But early surprises, and excited to see both good guys, too.
Some are going to heat up literally and figuratively as well. Well, good news, there's never been more eyes on the Xfinity Series than right now. The first 10 races, 1 million viewers plus on the CW. But the bad news, though, Kyle Larson is sounding off once again on NASCAR's second tier. After berating the series 2 weeks ago, this week, Kyle said that Xfinity isn't preparing its drivers for the next step. Then named Ty Gibbs as a prime example of that, who's in the 54 car, of course, at Joe Gibbs Racing. Josh, what's going on with this level of the racing at Xfinity Series, and how can it be fixed?
Yeah, it's tough, right? I think the biggest knock on the level of racing is what we see at the end of the races with these drivers. I mean, we saw it at Martinsville where, you know, basically they drive through each other, and there's something to be said for drivers learning in these series, like the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series, how to set up guys, how to make passes, not just to run through them. And that's what we consistently keep seeing with these Xfinity drivers is not progressing in that form of discipline. So, you know, Kyle is right to knock them, but who are the guys that are going to step up and try and teach them? That's the next step for these Xfinity drivers, to see how it's done, to get those opportunities when these Cup guys come down and race with them. Rather than berating them, let's try and teach them.
Absolutely. The best way is to learn by example, of course. Well, Josh is going to stick around. The homecoming far from over, folks, but our next guest is set to head to a track back in his home state this weekend. Knowing what you know now, what you've experienced over the years, what would you tell Bubba Wallace back in 2020? It's an exclusive you don't want to miss. This weekend, Bubba Wallace returns to a track where he's experienced both highs and lows over the course of his career. He joins the show coming up next in Garage Confidential. And as of now, Phoenix is where NASCAR's title races are held, but as of next season, we're getting a championship change-up. Where it's moving to, you'll find out coming up next. And we got a major shakeup atop one of the pit stalls. The legendary crew chief is leaving his team. Josh is going to have some opinions on this one. We're going around the track continues.
Welcome to NASCAR Xfinity Series.
Start your engine! All we need is a little gasoline and a dream. Oh yeah, guys!
The NASCAR Xfinity Series, Saturday. Check your local listings.
Back here on Around the Track, and a shocking move after just 9 Cup Series races, Spire Motorsports and Ronnie Childers have mutually agreed to part ways. The Cup Series championship winning crew chief signed a multi-year deal with the team last July to run Justin Haley's number 7 team. In a statement on social media this week, Childers said, quote, "Not everything works out perfect all the time. That's just how life works. This was just one of those things that just wasn't working for either one of us." Haley is currently 23rd in points with 1 top 10 finish in 2025 through 9 races. So Josh Sims back with us real quick. Your thoughts on this major news from earlier this week? Of course, a lot was made of him signing, and now after just 9 races, the relationship's over.
Yeah, it is a surprising move. You know, Rodney's a guy I've talked to in the garage a number of times, getting ready for races, a guy with a wealth of knowledge, a great amount of experience in this this sport. I think he's at a position where he needs to be paired with a driver that is a veteran driver knocking on the door of a championship. And I just think at this point with Spire and Justin Haley, they weren't at that level.
Yeah, so we'll see definitely what the future has for him. Says he's going to take some time with family and then figure out what's next for him. Well, Bubba Wallace is one of NASCAR's most popular drivers. We all know that, and he's never afraid to speak his mind. So naturally, asking him to be in this week's Garage Confidential is a no-brainer. As the 2311 driver marches into the site of his first NASCAR Cup Series win, he still says he's got unfinished business. Well, Bubba, fresh off the off weekend, you guys getting a little bit of downtime with the family. Just take me through, just how last weekend was and how it was to get a little bit of reset, as we're 9 races into the season.
Yeah, it was much needed. It's always nice to have a little break and to, be able to reprioritize things and focus on family for a little bit. We had a good off weekend. Myself, Amanda, and Bex enjoyed some quality downtime, and I was able to clear the mind of the past few races that we've had. But all in all, we're excited to get back on.
You mentioned, obviously, the past few races, some tough breaks there. Just take me through, obviously being 9 in pretty much the first quarter, so to speak. Just what do you think are some of the main lessons you guys have learned on that 23 team to now carry over once we get back going?
Yeah, I think we just had to do a lot of, self-reflection and looking at areas where we were kind of gotten into a lapse. We came off those back-to-back top 3 finishes. And then kind of went stale. So we definitely want to get the flame back lit and keep things going in the right direction. So excited for the next stretch of races that we have till the very end. It's going to be a long stretch, but looking forward to it.
I mean, you mentioned just these next 3 in particular, places that you've had success at, obviously wins at Talladega and Kansas, some solid runs at Texas as well. What excites you about these next few weeks as you guys now get into the summer coming up?
Just the chance to get back in the car, really. Talladega is one of those places where you just got to survive, but we always seem to kind of find our way there. Texas has been back and forth for us. We've shown a lot of speed. 45 shown a lot of speed last year. So I think we have a good baseline. It's just not, getting off the path, getting off the reservation, if you will, and showing up with something competitive. So it's time to really roll up the sleeves for everybody. So there's no more breaks. Let's get ourselves in victory lane, and then we can kind of take a break, I guess.
Talladega first up, a place where you were able to make history, getting that very first win. Just take me back to that day, fall of 2021, just the emotions and just how it felt to finally get over the hump and get that first win in the Cup Series.
Yeah, that was a really cool day. I think I seen a post earlier of the first-time winners at Talladega, and I was the latest in 2021. So. That was the day I'll obviously never forget. Just with everything that's going on at Talladega, the history there of everything the sport has to offer, right? And for me to play a small part in that is really, really cool. So the win car is sitting over there. Yeah. So it's a nice reminder every time we walk into the shop of where we started and being able to get the team the first win. But yeah, we gotta get back to those winning ways. It's been a while.
You mentioned the history that the track has, just in general in the sport, but for you personally, a place where you've had ups and downs. Just take me through maybe the lessons that you've learned, since everything that went on, even in 2020 and even in 2021 as well, and how you've grown as a person and also a racer too.
Well, time doesn't wait on you. You continue to evolve as a person, and you learn who you are and the people that you're around. And so I've enjoyed every step of the way. Some of the harder battles and some of the easier ones, if you will. Nothing's easy about the sport, but the on and off track success that we've had there has been good.
Knowing what you know now, what you've experienced over the years, what would you tell Bubba Wallace back in 2020?
Ooh, I don't know. I think just take a step back and enjoy the things more, not take it so serious.
Absolutely. And lastly, how hungry is Bubba Wallace to get back into the victory lane?
It's been way too long. So at Daytona, we were able to show that we can still do it. So it needs to happen. And so I'm going to put all the pressure on myself and make it happen.
Definitely got some good tracks coming up to get there.
No doubt.
Look forward to seeing you there one day.
Yes,
Bubba,
sir.
Thanks for the time.
Thank you, brother.
Thanks again to Bubba in 2311 for the time this week. Well, the call to the hall is looming for one of the sport's legends. Coming up, the newest names on the ballot for NASCAR's 2026 Hall of Fame class. That includes half of a famous brother duo.
Winning our stuff, it's just a big, heavy car, so you can be going 180 miles an hour and you still don't feel like you're going as fast as you are on one of these.
Every racer knows a thing or two about karting, but Cory Day's future is being shaped through them. Find out how he trains when Around the Track continues. Back here around the track, and the drivers finally got their wish. Sources tell around the track that NASCAR's championship weekend is heading back to Homestead, Miami. Starting in 2026, all 3 national series, including Cup, Xfinity, and Trucks, will be decided under the lights in the 305. The track used to hold the championship from 2002 through 2019, and Phoenix has played host since 2020 and will have its swan song in the first week of November later this year. Coming up sooner, NASCAR's All-Star Race is heading back to North Wilkesboro in North Carolina. The format largely the same. However, we're getting an extra 50 laps in the main event, moving it to 250. We'll also have a showdown between the 3 manufacturers as well. Teams will be scored against each other, meaning the lowest combined total of finishing positions will be declared the winner. The 4-day celebration will have a Cars Tour race, late models, the All-Star Open, the Pit Crew Challenge, and of course, that $1 Million All-Star Race. Well, who will be the next to be inducted? The NASCAR Hall of Fame announced its nominees for the class of 2026, and it includes a pair of former champions that are on the ballot for the very first time. 15 nominees for this year's class, with the most notable being Kurt Busch, who is on the modern era ballot. The 2004 Cup Series champ won 34 races during a career that spanned just over 2 decades. Another National Series champion is also on the modern era ballot, Randy LaJoie, who won titles in 1996 and 97 in what is now the Xfinity Series. Greg Biffle and Jeff Burton are other big names that remain on the modern era ballot. Championship crew chief Jake Elder returns to the Pioneer ballot. That's for nominees whose careers in NASCAR began 60 or more years ago. Also, longtime promoter and former general manager of Charlotte Motor Speedway, Humpy Wheeler, was selected for voting consideration for the Landmark Award for outstanding contributions to NASCAR. The voting panel will meet on May 20th to narrow it down.
Let's talk a little bit about Chase Elliott, obviously the youngest pole sitter in the history of the Daytona 500, but he crashed 20 laps in.
Look at
How
that.
much of a learning experience was that for Elliott? All right, so let's take a closer look at what makes
Look
him
at that.
a
Yeah, we told you he was one of the first hosts of the show. Do you know how long ago this was, Josh? When
I can guess it's probably like 2016, 17, 15.
Maybe earlier than that. I hear.
Did you see me with no facial hair?
24. You've come a long way, my friend.
Oh, that was awful. that was awful.
A young Josh Sims. But hey, you got your start here, and look at he's blossomed into just such a great, obviously, journalist and everything. Doing. Hey, you say this is where we breed some of the stars, and you got your start here. But yeah, it's good to have a lot more facial hair for the both of us. So we had to throw in that little surprise. For
I
you.
know Audi was behind that.
He definitely was. But hey, it was all a team effort here, and we got to show you a little bit of love too. Well, talking about one of the young up-and-comers now, Cory, considered by many to be on a fast track to NASCAR's top tier, steady contender in truck and Xfinity. He's been hand-chosen by Mr. Hendrick himself. Our Casey Funderburg caught up with him training at all places at the go-kart track.
From the dirt track to the pavement, Cory Day could be the next big thing in NASCAR. The 19-year-old signed with Hendrick Motorsports just before 2025, after his performance in sprint car races caught the attention of Kyle Larson and Jeff Gordon.
Jeff Gordon called me at the end of 2023 and asked if I wanted to come run some stock car stuff, and Jeff Gordon calls you, you're not gonna say no.
That one phone call changed the course of his career, literally, moving from mainly dirt tracks to a mix of NASCAR Xfinity Series, NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, ARCA Menard Series, and Trans Am Series races, a path similar to Kyle Larson's. Day raced his first Xfinity Series at Martinsville this year. Even though the results weren't what he wanted, the experience is what he needs.
It's just all way different, from in the car to out of the car. It's just, nothing's the same, to be honest with you. The competition level is different, and the way you race is just way different too. And I try and pick out, one thing every race that I can, focus on and get better at. And I have habits from dirt cars, and the habits aren't easy to break with going into this stuff. But at the same time, I don't want to break them either, because I'm still sprint car racing. So I try and compartmentalize things as best as I can. And when I'm in the Xfinity car, I race it like the Xfinity car. When I'm in the truck, I race it like I'm in the truck. And when I'm in the sprint car, I race it like I'm in the sprint car. But that's easier said than done.
Since Day has to focus on multiple cars and races, training is high priority. And part of his training includes karting.
Yeah, the karts are good to mimic, our racing. They have bumpers, which is different. We don't have bumpers. The wheels are really, really twitchy. In our cars, we get, way more wheel input to get, what you would get here with way less input. So it's good to come to this, where this is way more twitchy, because it slows our hands down and just makes, us more precise when we get in our cars. Another thing that's good is, they're low to the ground, so it feels like you're going really, really fast. When in our stuff, it's just a big, heavy car, so you can be going 180 miles an hour and you still don't feel like you're going as fast as you are on one of these.
There's a lot of expectations for the driver and his career, but his focus has maintained the same.
I go do me, and that's what I've done for the past years to where people have, you know, been able to form that opinion about me, so why would I change?
Well, you do remember this burnout from Ryan Blaney at Dega in the playoffs? Well, he's hoping to do it again, but where do the sports books have him this weekend? Victory Lane locks are next, right here on Around the Track. The leader of RFK Racing is coming to Around the Track. Just before we go take over Texas Motor Speedway, Brad Keslowski will stop by the show to talk about his team's progress and how the 6 car can get back to victory lane. Brad K next week on Around the Track. Check your local listings on when you can see ATT on your local Next Star station. Let's take a quick peek at what the sportsbook had going into the weekend for Talladega. Look at this. Brad Keselowski tied at the top with Ryan Blaney at 10-1. We haven't seen him in the top 5 to start a weekend all year, but this track suits him very well. Kyle Busch and Joey Logano behind them at 11-1. Then you have William Byron, who rounds out the top 5 at 12-1. Anything can happen at Talladega. We got the odds. We know the track. Josh can't make a pick because he's calling the race, so you're just going to have to judge. My pick, I am going with Ryan Blaney. 3 wins, 3 other top 5 finishes. I think the 12 finally gets into victory lane this weekend.
You really went out on a limb with the favorite taking him, huh? That's
a pretty easy one. But I think he's due for a win, and obviously we talked about the Fords earlier in the show. I think this is the time for him to get back into victory lane.
He's always there, but you had a chance to like big up Brad K being on the show next week and saying he's ending the drought. But you didn't want to, you know?
Let's see if he gets it done. For Josh, though, he's back. I'm Gabe McDonald. See you next week as we look at the Texas.
Thank you.